Mike Bernard joins us as always on Sunday morning for Inside the Numbers. Mike, let's get right into the action. You're out in Las Vegas. You've got a busy day, so we won't waste time. Number 4, Michigan, 29, Michigan State 7. Spartans have been a nemesis for Jim Harbaugh, but he gets his first win over Mel Tucker in 3 times. He's got Rutgers, Nebraska, and Illinois before Ohio State coming up. And number 15, Ole Miss gets by Texas A&M 31-28 last night. Second week in a row, the Rebs go on a tough road environment. They seemed more grounded than they did at LSU. This is a nice bounce back win. Seems like they traded cockiness for confidence. Lane Kiffin, I thought he did a great job managing the clock in the fourth quarter. He made A&M use their timeouts. So when they finally got the ball back, they had no timeouts to work with. He has a reputation as being pass happy, and that can be justified. But listen, he knows how to utilize his run game.
Yeah, he does. And there's a lot of coaches like that. Mike Leach is the same way. You think pass, 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 but they know how to use the run.
Yeah. In these 2 games that we're talking about, they were, they were pretty much spot on what you guys said they were going to be.
They landed right on the number. The odds makers were sharp all weekend or all day Saturday. It's the Michigan game was right on the number, an odd number of 22.
Mm-hmm. All right, 2 top 10s. They got drummed by a combined score of 96-21. Kansas State didn't surprise me that they won. I thought Oklahoma State would win, but it didn't surprise me that the Wildcats won. It did surprise me that they won 48-0. They won the turnover battle 3-0. Cowboys only had 217 yards. And yeah, their quarterback, Spencer Sanders, got injured, but hey, it was already 38-0 by the time that happened. First time Oklahoma State has been shut out since 2009. That was in Bedlam. Oklahoma got them 27-0 that year. That was Mike Gundy's 5th season. K-State, they're 6-2 on the year, and they have 2 top 10 wins over both schools from Oklahoma. They got the Sooners earlier in the year. Then we've got Louisville beating Wake Forest 48-21. The Cards, they got 2 pick sixes on this. And Wake Forest, they had 8 turnovers. I can't imagine anyone winning with 8 turnovers.
For me, so I missed the start of the 3:30 Eastern games. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw K-State was up that big. As far as the Louisville game, Satterfield, they were very impressive. His team, they were a 3-point dog in that game, and they destroyed Wake. Of course, when you turn a team over 8 times, you're going to win.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Notre Dame 41, number 16 Syracuse 24. Defense and special teams set the table for the Irish. Notre Dame, a pick 6 on the first play from scrimmage. They blocked their 5th punt of the season in the fourth quarter. That led to a 2-yard TD run that just left the Orange behind.
Coach, don't hit or miss. And to Marshall, 17-point favorite in both games, so you don't know which team is going to show up.
Arkansas 41, Auburn 27. Time to put this program out of its misery and move on for Brian Harsin. It looks like they've hired their man as AD, John Cohen from Mississippi State. He's an Alabama native, actually from Tuscaloosa, went to school at Birmingham Southern, then transferred to Mississippi State. Long career as a baseball coach. It's time to move forward with the hiring and firing here.
Yeah, not my forte, but it looks like Auburn's going to continue their carousel of hire, fire, and buyout. Tigers kept it close for all, but the Hogs pulled away. Arkansas covers the game, and that game, of course, goes over the total.
Our featured games of the week, number 2, Ohio State, 44. Number 13, Penn State, 31. Turnovers, 4-0 in favor of the Buckeyes. This was a very close game. As a matter of fact, it was 21-16 Penn State until 8:51 left in the fourth quarter. Trevion Henderson scored on a 41-yard run. Then an immediate fumble by Sean Clifford, and the Ohio State snowball got rolling. Buckeyes scored 28 points in 6 minutes of clock time, had another pick six, and Clifford had 3 interceptions on the day.
Tough day for that kid, and well, man, he's old. Penn State was in great position midway through the fourth, as you said. Then Murphy's Law was enacted. I mean, they were out to 10 the last 8 minutes. The game goes over the total. It's out looking like a defensive battle, but it ends up going over. Penn State does get the cover. Bucks were favored by 6.
Moving on to Georgia 42, Florida 20, the number 1 Bulldogs. The Bulldog family was dealing with the death of Vince Dooley on Friday, the Georgia legend that led them to the national championship under Herschel back in 1980. The Dogs came out strong, had a 28-3 lead at halftime. Then it seemed like they just kind of lost interest, started looking to this Tennessee game. Gators got it back to 28-20. And the Dogs said, nah, let's just close this out and move on to Tennessee. Without the 3 turnovers that they had, the Dogs probably win by 35 or more.
Yeah, and hey, what do you know? Another game that lands right on the number. It's an even number, but an unusual number of 22 lands right there. That's where that line was all week. Florida got within 8, but Coach, it didn't seem to me like Georgia was ever in doubt, even at that point. And this Tennessee-Georgia game, it's going to be massive. I don't recall looking forward to a matchup in quite some time like that one.
Agreed. Speaking of Tennessee, the number 3 Vols, they shut Kentucky down 44-6. Came out in all black unis, and they spooked the Cats, no doubt. Cedric Tillman saw his first action in quite a while for the Vols. He's going to be ready to go full speed next week against Georgia. I can't believe that he won't be. Hendon Hooker, 12 of 14, 148 yards, and 2 touchdowns at the half. The Vols led 37-6 going into the fourth quarter and cruised to the victory.
Yeah. Again, I was traveling most of the day. The game was 7-6 at the end of the first, and then the Vols put their foot down. The point spread, the spot, all pointed to a Kentucky cover, not a win, but it wasn't even close. Vols outclassed the Wildcats. Game stays well under the total. And, Coach, everyone's talking about Hooker and the offense, and rightly so. But look what that defense has done against Kentucky and LSU. They've been solid.
Very solid. And they were outside of that first Kentucky drive where they went down and scored, that defense just shut the Cats down. All right, let's talk about our picks of the week. You had MTSU and UTEP.
I had UTEP. It was a loser. We'll get back on track next week. You came back with a win, so you got to 6-2, I believe.
I think so. Yes, I had Virginia over Miami. I felt really Virginia was +3. When it got to the third overtime, I knew that nobody was going to win by more than 2. So I felt good at that point. I was celebrating. All right, we've moving on to this week. We've got number 5 Clemson going into Notre Dame. I think we're going to find out a little bit about this Notre Dame team because I think this will be, along with Ohio State, it'll be the best 2 teams that they've played this year.
Yeah, and again, the Notre Dame-Clemson game, what team from South Bend will show up? Okay, that's the question. Is it the team that played Marshall and Stanford, or is it the team that looked very good yesterday? Alabama, LSU, that's going to be a tough game for Alabama because, frankly, I think I'm probably looking at LSU. That line's going to be somewhere around 2 touchdowns, in my opinion. And then Tennessee, Georgia, a long time since I've really looked forward to a college game like this. This is one of the games of the century, as they call it.
Mike, could you imagine a few years ago somebody talking about Alabama and LSU in Death Valley this late in the season? Both of them are ranked, and it's not even the top game of the week. This Georgia-Tennessee matchup, it should be something. I hope it lives up to its billing.
I do too, and it's going to be interesting to see. We'll talk the next day or so about these point spreads because I think they're going to move a lot. I think the public's going to disagree with the odds makers.
Mike, we will get back with you on tomorrow morning on the Blitz, and appreciate your time. And you have a good Sunday working these NFL games.
Thanks, Coach. Enjoyed it.